Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am so excited to share with you the fabulous Merriest Moments bundle. Now this bundle is from the Holiday Mini, August-December mini catalog by Stampin' Up. And it is one that it is easy to kind of bypass and miss in this catalog because this catalog is so jam-packed full of awesome products. This bundle is not part of a suite. It's a standalone bundle. And honestly, until you start playing with it and see it in action, it's really easy to kind of ignore. But I'm going to show you some of the possibilities with this bundle today. Now, if you follow me on social media, you probably saw a whole bunch of projects that I posted over the weekend using this bundle because I featured it as part of my Heartwarming Holidays virtual retreat on Saturday. And let me tell you, I have had so much fun playing with these products. They're just fantastic. So I'm going to show you how they work because that was the first thing. Like when I first saw them, I'm like, what the heck is a hybrid embossing folder? I had no idea. And I'll explain what that is in a few minutes if you're kind of going, I don't know what it is either. But I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to show you it in action, and then we're going to make 3 projects today. So before we get to it, I am going to pull up my video on my iPad so I can see who's here joining us. Let's see who's here. Hi, Krista. Hi, Julie. Hi, Judy. Thanks for joining me. All right. Hi, Mavis. How are you? All right. I'm going to flip the camera. I'm going to show you the bundle. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and then we are going to get to some crafting. Okay? Here we go. All right. I think we're good. Just make sure that's secure and not going to sag on me. Hi, Huda. How are you? Thanks for joining me. Alrighty. So here is the bundle in the catalog. So it's on page 43 of the Holiday Mini. It's this one. Okay. Can you believe we're into the last 2 months of this catalog already? It's crazy. But this is one that honestly, it is like, I didn't even really give it a second look until I started looking for a stamp set that had images and sentiments to use for my retreat. So this was the stamp set that I chose, and of course I purchased the bundle because I always purchase the bundle. And when I actually started playing with it, I was absolutely blown away by how beautiful you can make projects using this bundle. So let me show you what's included because it is a little bit confusing if you don't know what all the parts are. So of course we have the stamp set. Fantastic images and beautiful sentiments in awesome fonts. These are actually not full size. These images are shown at 90%. They're actually larger than this. Love these sentiments. Like they're so beautiful. The fonts are just lovely and they're big enough that they can be the focal image on your card, right? The stamp set, we're actually going to use on one of the cards, we're going to use just the stamps. We're not going to use the dies just to show you how fantastic the stamp set is all by itself. Okay, so that's the Merriest Moments stamp set. Now the bundle includes the hybrid embossing folder and die set. So what the heck is that? Well, both the embossing folder and the dies come together, okay? You can't buy these separately. They come together. And the reason for that is this is designed to cut and emboss at the same time. So the hybrid folder it's a 3D folder. It's extra thick, okay? It's one of our super thick folders. And this outline die is designed to just sort of nestle into the lid of the die. Okay, I'm actually going to die cut and show you how this works. You put your paper in, you close, you run it through your machine, and when you're finished, you have this beautiful embossed die cut shape. Okay, then there's another die that you can use afterwards to add detail. So you're going to see all of that in action in a few minutes. Okay, but the die set includes both the outline die, which works with the embossing folder. It includes the detail die. It includes this stitched rectangle, which is sized to fit perfectly inside the embossed die cut. And then we have all of these dies that cut stamped images. And then we have these cute little poinsettias, which are just, they cut just the poinsettia shape. Okay. All right. Hi, Arlene. I love this bundle too. Hi, Laura. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Jill. Thanks for joining and thank you for sharing. All right, so do you want to see this bundle in action? Because honestly, until I saw how it worked, I didn't really understand it. Call me slow, but I just didn't get it. So I'm going to bring in my cut and emboss machine. and I'm going to bring in my platform, and I'm going to need my plate number 4. This is the plate that you use with our extra thick hybrid folders, okay? So, not hybrid, 3D folders. So this is the first sort of combo you're going to need, all right? So I'm going to cut out of Smoky Slate cardstock because it's going to give us a piece that we're going to use on one of the projects. All right. So I'm going to take my folder. The lid is the one that has the Stampin' Up logo on it. Okay. So that's the side that is going to accommodate your die. So it's just a matter of turning your die around until it matches and lines up with the embossed image. And you're going to feel it just kind of lock into place once you get it in the right spot. Then I'm going to go ahead and lay my cardstock over top of my die. When I flip it over, you're going to see the die against the embossing folder. I'm going to put my folder directly onto my platform. I'm going to add my plate number 4, which is the plate that I normally would use for hybrid emboss or for 3D embossing. And then we're going to roll this through. Okay, now you're probably panicking thinking, oh my goodness, she's going to cut into her embossing folder with that die. You're not. It's okay. Well, it does cut in slightly, but it doesn't affect the folder. Okay. So when I pull this out, look at that gorgeous embossing to start. I take off my outline die, and when I pop this out, I have this gorgeous embossed die cut. Look at how beautiful that is. So stunning. Now, there's an extra step that we can do. This is beautiful all by itself, but we can also use the detail die to add even more beautiful detail. So I'm going to replace my platform, put it back where it was. And this time I'm going to use my 2 cutting plates and my thin die adapter. Okay, so I have my bottom plate. Oh, I don't know what that is. A little something extra there. I don't know where that came from. And then I'm going to bring my beautiful die cut and grab my detailed die, okay, which is this one. It's going to line up right over top of my embossed image. You're going to see it's going to kind of lock into place as well. It's not going to slip slide around. It just kind of settles in there and locks into place. Okay, I'm going to place that on my bottom cutting plate. I'm going to place another plate on top, and we're going to roll it through. Now with this one, I'm going to go forwards and back, okay, because there's quite a bit of detail that this is cutting. So I'm going to go forwards and back. Hi, Judith. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for stopping in. All right, so let's get the machine out of the way so we have a little bit more space, and now I can show you the wow factor. So I'm going to pop this die out. You're going to see it's going to cut off a little bit of the border that was left from the first layer of die cutting, but look at that. Look at the beautiful detail that we get, and all of my little bits are kind of stuck in the die. Okay, super, super simple. So again, forward and back gives you the best results, but look at that beautiful detail. Isn't that a gorgeous die cut? Absolutely love it. All right, so that is how the hybrid embossing folders work. Okay, and again, I hope that's helpful and helps you understand what the heck they are, because honestly, I did not have a clue until I saw them in action. All right. Hi, Gail. Thanks for joining. Hi, Linda. All right, so we're going to use this die cut that we just made on this card here. So this is one I posted yesterday. Pink and gray Christmas cards. Reminds me a little bit of the 90s, right? Dusty rose and gray were kind of the color combo. So I'm kind of going retro here a little bit. But I wanted to feature this beautiful smoky slate and show you how to add a little bit of a frosted effect to your die cut. So let me just bring in a few little bits here. So I'm going to take my die. This is Craft White ink re-inker. Okay, so it comes with, when you buy a Craft White ink pad, it comes uninked. So you get the re-inker with it. So I'm just going to add a little squirt of re-inker to just a block. I'm using that as my palette. Okay, and then I'm going to take a sponge dauber and I'm going to just kind of create a little pool of ink here. And then I'm just going to take and add some delicate frosting to my die cut. Now this will show up more dramatically the darker your die cut color is. So I've used Smoky Slate, it's fairly light. So this is going to be a really subtle kind of frosted effect. Of course, you could make it look like more if you use more ink. But I just want it to be just a really subtle bit of frost on my sprigs here. So you want to just be really gentle as you're doing this, right? We don't want to tear our die cut. So I'm just kind of going in one direction. I'm not doing a sort of circular motion. Again, that's because I don't want to damage this beautiful die cut. So we're just going to add just a little bit of frost to our sprigs here, just to soften that gray and give it just that wintry kind of vibe. So we'll just finish these guys up. Okay, now this craft ink does take quite some time to set up, so you don't need to worry about damaging your block or it drying on your block. It will wash off quite easily, so I'll have plenty of time to wash it off by the time my video is done, but that's it. So just a really subtle little bit. I've got a little bit too much here. I need to dauber a bit off, but there we go. So just a subtle little bit of frosting to our die cut. So we're going to set that aside and give it a chance to dry a little bit. The craft ink does take some time to set, significantly longer than our regular classic ink. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is on this piece of Blushing Bride cardstock. It is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. We are going to just add a little bit of texture. Now you certainly could emboss this if you wanted to, but I did want to showcase some of the stamps in the set. So I have this fabulous spatter stamp, right? Every stamp set should have a spatter stamp. Stampin' Up agrees with me because lots of them do. So I'm just going to take and do tone on tone. I've got my Blushing Bride ink here, and I'm just going to add some spatters to my background. Now I don't need to do the entire thing because a good portion of this is going to get covered by our die cut, but we're just going to add some spatters kind of around the outside edge, just to add that extra little bit of texture to our background. You certainly could leave this plain, but why be plain when you can add texture, right? Right. And spatters are the best. So there we go. At least that's my humble opinion. All right, so let's just add a couple more here, and you can always lay your die cut on top to make sure you haven't got any gaps. That's going to be beautiful. Perfect. All righty. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining me. Hope the weather is nicer in Northeast Ohio. Oh, I can't talk today. Hope the weather is nicer in Northeast Ohio than it is here. It's really gloomy and yucky here. All right, so to construct our the rest of our card, there's really not a whole lot to it. All of the work is done by the beautiful die cut and the DSP. So I have here just a die cut. This is using the stitch rectangle die that comes with the Merriest Moments bundle. I've die cut a piece of the Whimsy Wonder DSP, at least I think that's what it's called. And then I've cut just a slightly larger rectangle from silver foil. So this is 2 7/8 by 2 1/8. And when I layer that, you're just going to see the narrowest little border of silver peeking out from behind my DSP. So we're going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of our DSP. Oh, it's rainy and you love it. Oh, good for you. It has been rainy here for a really long time and I'm kind of over it. I would like to see the sun. Yeah, it's been raining here a lot. All right, so there is my layered die cut. Love it. So, so pretty. Now we are going to add some details. So we're going to add one of our laser cut wonderful snowflakes. Now, one side of these is kind of iridescent white. The other side is plain white. I'm going to go with the iridescent because, well, why not, right? The more bling, the better when it comes to Christmas. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive to the upper left corner, and we're just going to have our snowflake kind of peeking out from behind it, just like that. Okay. Now this is going to get layered onto our die cut. Now, which way did I do this? Yeah, this is the way I did it. Now we're going to pop this up because why not, right? We can and we will because popped is better than not. So we're going to add a couple of dimensionals to the back of our rectangle here. Hi, Wendy. How are you? Hi, Darlene. Thanks for joining me. All right, so we are going to pop this on, and you're going to see that this is going to just nestle in that sort of embossed frame that is part of the die cut, just ever so nicely. Okay, so that's going to just sit in there. Now, this is ready to glue onto our background. However, first we're going to add just a little bit of this gorgeous iridescent organdy ribbon. This is also from the holiday catalog. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some tape to the back of my die cut here. And I'm going to do my good old zigzag trick. So I'm going to create kind of a Z pattern. So I'm going one, actually this one will probably be more of an M. Well, I guess a Z and an M are pretty much the same, depending on what angle you look at it. Right? Right. Okay. Now this will be, oh, we'll do a Z. We'll do a Z. All right, there we go. So you can see that we're going to see just a little bit of that iridescent ribbon peeking out. I'm going to trim off my end here. Whenever I do this technique, I like to trim at a bit of an angle, just so that, I don't know, I just think angles look better than straight. It's just my own opinion. And then this is going to go on with some more dimensionals because, well, why not? Now, I know for those of you that are wanting to mail Christmas cards, this may be a little bit over the top in terms of thickness. It depends where you are. I will honestly say I have never ever had a card that I have mailed returned. I don't ask forgiveness. I don't go to the post office. I just put a stamp on it and drop it in the mail. And I have never yet, knock on wood, had one sent back. They just mail them. So I'm hoping that even though this is a little on the thick side, that will also be the case. I won't have to worry about it being returned. Now, if you are concerned about postage, you could certainly glue this layer on flat. Not a big deal, but I can pop it, so why not? So we're gonna get rid of our backings. Now I got lots on here, just mainly because I wanna make sure my sprigs stay attached. In fact, I need to add one more up here because that one needs to stay put. And then we'll get rid of all our mini backings here. There are a few of them, but it is amazing how well the minis fit behind the die cut sprigs on this die. All right, so there we go. So we are going to layer that. Now I just want to pay attention to my rectangle in the center and make sure it is straight and relatively centered. Okay. You'll see my ribbon's going to kind of extend off the edge. Doesn't matter. The ribbon will squish when we put it in the envelope. It'll be fine. Okay. So now that is going to get glued onto a Smoky Slate card base. This is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we are going to fold that in half and dig out the bone folder, which is buried here. And then we're going to pop this onto our card base. Uh-oh, I'm out of seal. That's because I did so much stamping on the weekend. All right, we'll use a little liquid glue. That works too. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this to our card front. And just get that centered. Whoopsie, that's a little high. There we go, that's better. All right, so there is our foundation of our card. Okay, we're almost done. I have a sentiment. I've already heat embossed this in silver. I just love the look of the silver with the gray and the pink. So I'm going to turn this into a little banner by punching the ends with my tailored tag punch, which is just going to give me a nice tidy little banner end. So we'll just get that nice and even, hopefully. Yep, not bad. And then I'm going to show you a little trick to create this snowflake. So we've already used one of the laser cut wonderful snowflakes, but did you know you can create all sorts of different sizes by trimming down these snowflakes? So to create this little guy here, all I did is I took my snips and I cut off the extra branches on my snowflake. So this goes, well, it's not too tedious. You got to cut off 12 arms, which is not too bad. It's just a little snip. And I kind of round it as I do it just to make sure I get a nice, neat cut so I don't have sort of jagged edges. But it's a cool way to alter your snowflakes and get snowflakes of different sizes on your projects. So for those who do not have a die cutting machine, These things are kind of magical. Okay, there we go. There is another little snowflake. So we'll get rid of our trash there. And we are going to glue this to the back of our sentiment strip. Okay, so we're just going, oh, I don't have any seal. Hang on, let me get my replacement seal. Because, you know, seal is kind of like my right hand. Stamping without my right hand is not a good thing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just adhere that little snowflake to the back of our sentiment. And then that, I'm going to have to trim this a little bit. It's a little bit on the long side. Let's just nip a little bit more off of that. Sorry, my voice is a little croaky today. You may or may not be aware I'm having voice issues, and I'm actually waiting to see an ear, nose, and throat specialist to kind of figure out what's going on. So my voice comes and goes from day to day. Did lots of talking and singing today at school, so that is why I'm a wee bit on the croaky side. All right, so we've added a couple of dimensionals to the back of our sentiment, and this is just going to go on sort of in that bottom left corner of our rectangle there, just like that. Okay, we're going to add a bow, because why not? We've got, this card is so over the top, we can just keep doing stuff to it, right? This is one of those cards that you send to someone you really, really like, because there's so much going on it. So we're gonna tie us a nice tidy bow with this fabulous ribbon. It does tie up quite beautifully. It does grab a little bit as you're tying, so you do have to kind of manipulate it a little bit. So we'll trim our ends, get rid of that. And then that is going to go on just sort of in the corner, the bottom left corner of our sort of focal image there. So I'm going to take and press my knot of my bow into a glue dot. And then that is going to just kind of go on in the corner there. Okay, couple more touches because I can. I'm going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella. Now you won't be able to see this, I don't think, on the camera. But adding a little bit of Wink of Stella to the sprigs just takes this to a whole new level, I gotta tell you. Now, I haven't used Wink of Stella in a while on one of my videos. You may have been thinking I'd forgotten about it, but never. It will always be one of my favorite go-to products here. All right, so there's my Wink of Stella. And then my last touch is to add a little bit of bling. So these are the Elegant Faceted Gems from the annual catalog. And there just happen to be some really beautiful Blushing Bride ones in that pack. So I decided, why not add a little bit of bling? All right, there we go. Isn't that pretty? I mean, who wouldn't want to get that card in the mail? The post office has to mail it because it's just too pretty. Did I do anything? Yes. On the inside of this, I stamped some sprigs in Smoky Slate and then added some little spatters along the bottom. Okay, so super pretty. Hope you like that one. We will move on to number 2. Number 2, we are all about the stamps. So we were all about the die cut really on that first card. This one is all about the gorgeous stamp images in this set. So I just need to clean my spatter stamp because we are going to use it. And then I also need to find all my sprigs because there are a few. So we're using that one and that one and that one and that one. Okay, so this one is actually one that's going to be available at my Christmas card, in-person Christmas card buffet this week. My color palette is here. So I went with a bunch of different shades of green, a pop of fresh Freesia for something a little bit unexpected on a Christmas card, and then some Smoky Slate. Okay, so I'm going to show you how easy it is to layer the stamp images in this set to create a beautiful arrangement that kind of echoes the die cut. Okay, so you can do really beautiful things with just the stamps. So to start, I'm going to grab my shaded spruce and my long, there's sort of 2 sprigs in the stamp set. This is the longer one. So we're just going to kind of start. Now I want all of my sort of sprigs to be clustered on the right side of my card front here. So we're just going to add a few of these little guys, just kind of hanging out on the front of our image here. Okay. Then we're going to pull in our Just Jade. I love these two colors together. The two shades of green are just spectacular. And now I'm using this sort of round leaf sprig, and we're going to, whoops, let's make sure that's fully inked. And then we're going to add a few of those in amongst our first set of sprigs here. Okay, then I'm going to add several stamped off ones. Okay, and I love Just Jade stamped off. It's such a fresh sort of minty green color. I love it. It's a beautiful shade. I would buy the ink pad if it came just like that. So let's just add a couple of more. So we're kind of creating almost a wreath. That's not really a wreath. Okay, just like that. And then we are going to add some spatters with some, what's this color? Soft Seafoam, it's called. Okay. Oh, Arlene, I'm not really a pink Christmas person either, but sometimes it's fun to play around with alternate color palettes for Christmas. So that was one that I kind of liked. So I'm just adding some spatters in amongst my greenery here. Sorry, my throat is not great. Let me just take a sip of water here. Okay, there we go. So again, I'm just adding some really subtle spatters here in the Soft Seafoam, just to add some texture. That's really all it is. And then what really makes this card pop is the unexpected addition of fresh Freesia. So for this one, I'm using this large berry stamp, and I think it kind of looks like Christmas baubles, right? When you stamp it in amongst the greenery like this. But look at how it just kind of makes everything pop when you add that fresh Freesia. I just love it. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Oh, makes me happy. All right, now I have gone and put away all of my inks, and I need it to stamp on my sentiment panel. But that is our card front, okay? I forgot to mention it's a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of basic white, okay? Now, we also need to stamp on our stitched rectangle, which is going to be for our sentiment. So the first thing we're going to do actually is stamp our sentiment, just so that we know how much real estate we have to stamp sprigs. So I'm going to stamp that in Smoky Slate. Okay, so we're just going to get that straight on here and attempt to stamp this straight. So I'm going to stamp a little bit more towards the top on my rectangle here, so I have some space to add a little bit of greenery down there. Okay, so really quickly I'm going to use the smaller sort of evergreen sprig here and just add, let's make sure that's inked, just a couple of these little guys here to the bottom of my rectangle. And then I'm going to bring back my Just Jade, and we'll add a couple of the round leaf sprigs. So we'll kind of do one full strength here, and then we'll stamp off and maybe add a couple stamped off ones. Okay, and then a little bit of spatter. So we'll just kind of add just the subtlest little bit to that. And then of course we need our fresh Freesia baubles here. So let's just add a couple of those, we'll put them down in the corner here like that. Okay. All right, now we are ready to assemble our card. So let's get these stamps out of the way. So first of all, we are going to layer our stitch rectangle on a piece of fresh Freesia. That's the same dimensions as the silver was on the last card. So 2 1/8 by 2 7/8. And again, that's going to give us that narrow little border all the way around. So we'll add a little bit of liquid glue to this. Hey, Kylie, how are you? Thanks for popping by. Hi, Colleen. All right, so we're going to pop this in place on this little rectangle here. There we go. All right, and now before we put this onto our card front, we're going to add some of that yummy fresh Freesia ribbon. So this is the In Color Open Weave ribbon. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite ribbons ever. So I'm just going to take and press the end of my ribbon here into a glue dot on both ends. And then we're going to lay the longer piece here across the front of our panel. Now, I don't want this to go right in the middle, okay? It's gonna go about, I don't know, inch and a quarter up from the bottom. And we'll wrap those ends around the back, okay? Then we are ready to add our sentiment. So we're gonna pop that up with a couple of dimensionals. Again, because why not? Everything looks better popped, right? So we'll add these little guys and pop this guy on. So just centering this over my little greenery arrangement that I created. Right about there looks good. Okay, now we could put this just right flat onto our card base, but I wanted to just bring out that gorgeous fresh Freesia a little bit more. So we're actually going to layer it on a little bit of fresh Freesia just to give it that little extra pop before we layer it onto our card base. Actually, maybe we'll use liquid glue. It's easier to wiggle into place. So let's just get that going. Yeah, I do too, Krista. I love that it's sort of unexpected, right? You don't expect to see sort of Freesia on a Christmas card, but I really, really like that unexpected pop. All right, so there we go. There is our Freesia layer. Then we're going to go ahead and layer that on our card base. So this is a Just Jade card base. I don't use this color very often as a card base. I use it a lot in inks, but I don't use the cardstock as much. This is 5.5 by 8.5. Again, scored in the middle at 4.25. So we're gonna fold that in half along our score line. And then we're gonna add a little bit of adhesive. Come on. Get that going. And that is going to go on to our card base with just a narrow little border all the way around. Did you see how that Freesia just sets it off? Just that really subtle little bit. All right, and then of course we need to add a bow. So I've got a pre-tied bow here. This is actually one of the kits. I stole one of the kits for my card buffet coming up this week because I could. So this is all cut and prepped for me thanks to my assistant. So I didn't have to prep this one today. All right, so there's my bow. And then our last touch is a bit of bling. So we have some of our in-color gems that coordinate perfectly with the fresh Freesia. So we're just gonna take and add a little bit of bling in amongst our greenery here. Again, because every Christmas card must sparkle a little. That's my rule. So we're gonna add a couple of these guys. And we'll put this guy over here. There we go. Get those out of the way. And we're done. Now on the inside of my sample, I did stamp another sentiment and some more of my greenery, just like we did on the front. Okay, I'm not going to take the time to do that now, but lots of possibilities with this, with the stamps in this set. Okay, so I just wanted to showcase the fact that the stamps are fantastic. You do not have to have the dies. If you don't have a die cutting machine, you can still do beautiful projects with just the stamps. All right. All right, let's get that one out of the way. And we're going to bring in a more traditional Christmas card. So for those of you who are red and green Christmas folks, this one's for you. Now this one features some brand new products that are not released yet. They're coming out next Tuesday. And I'm actually going to showcase, that's going to be my focus next Tuesday, is this brand new suite of products. Limited release for some of the products. It's called Eden's Garden. Okay, so the DSP, the pattern paper in this is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent are the sort of two colors that anchor the DSP, and then we have gorgeous gold foiling on all of the sheets. So if you like those two in colors, and those two colors are two of my favorite in colors ever, you're gonna love this DSP pack. So it's actually designed to be multi-seasonal, multi-purpose. So I used it for a Christmas card here, but the DSP totally works for any season, depending on what color. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm gonna show you how to make this. So let me get all my bits out here. So to start, I have a piece of that gorgeous DSP. So on the back side, we always have sort of more generic neutral patterns that can work for any occasion. This would make a great masculine card, right? Emboss that, get some texture going, and you're great. But this side I absolutely love, and I thought it would work really well with the sprigs in the dies from this bundle. So here is, look at how gorgeous this die cut is in gold. Is that not stunning? So this is the brushed metallic sheets from the mini catalog. I've die cut, this is the sort of gold one. There's a gold or a bronzy one. There's a gold and a bronze. This is a little more bronzy one, but look at how beautiful that is. So, so pretty. Now you're going to notice this is a whole lot bigger than this. Okay, I wanted to change up the look, and I wanted to show you how versatile this die cut is. So I have here my little stitch scallop rectangle that I have already stamped and heat embossed in gold, a sentiment from the stamp set. And I was originally looking at doing this and playing around, but I didn't want to cover, if I put this on here, I would cover up so much of that beautiful DSP. I wasn't okay with that. So I wanted to show more of the DSP. So here is what I did. I started out by simply cutting into, I know it's going to break your heart, some of you, cutting into my die cut, flipping it, and turning it that way. Okay, so my die went like this, right? So I kind of cut up the side. I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to adhere it behind my sentiment panel like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to cut straight up here. I'm going to just trim this little guy off. Okay, this bit we're not going to throw out. We're going to use that on another project. And this one is going to get glued along the bottom. So instantly I have a much smaller die cut that takes up a little bit less real estate on the card and showcases what's behind it a little bit better. Okay, so we're just going to glue these to the back of our sentiment. So we'll do one going this way and the other going this way. And look at how beautifully they layer. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, love it. So pretty. Okay, now before we glue that onto that DSP piece, we are going to add a little bit of ribbon. So this is more of that beautiful open weave ribbon. This is in the soft succulent. So again, in color ribbon, favorite ever. So we're going to go ahead and just add a little bit of adhesive, so just a glue dot, to the ends of our ribbon and wrap it around the back of our DSP to secure it. Okay, so similar to the last card, but we're using DSP instead of cardstock. Okay, all right, now we're ready to glue that onto our card base. So I have a cherry cobbler card base because I wanted to go traditional for those of us that like traditional red and green for Christmas. Exact same dimensions as the first two cards, okay, 5.5 by 8.5. So we're gonna fold that in half along our score line. It is so easy, Deb, yeah. And again, sometimes you don't want to cover as much, right? So having an option to do a slightly smaller version, it's always nice to have that idea in your back pocket. So we are gonna go ahead and add some adhesive to the back of this beautiful DSP. And pop that onto our card base. Get that nice and secure. All right, and then we're going to add our beautiful die cut. We are going to pop it up. Now, before we do that, I want to show you these little green sprigs. These are super, super delicate, okay? They look like tissue paper. They're not tissue paper. They are part of this new suite that is going live next week. It is called cotton paper. Now, some of you may recall cotton paper that we carried several years ago. It was a little bit heavier weight than tissue and a little bit more durable. This is a much lighter weight cotton paper. It is much closer to tissue, okay? Fantastic for doing coordinating, gift wrapping, and that sort of thing. To die cut these little guys, now these were die cut using the Christmas trimmings dies. I actually folded my 12 by 12 sheet of cotton paper into 4 and die cut them all at once. So I actually ended up with 4 layers that came out of the die. I actually found it easier that way because if you only try to cut 1 layer at a time, sometimes the paper gets stuck in the die and then tears when you try to pull it out. But by having the 4 layers, they all kind of pop out, and then you can just kind of peel the layers apart to get them individual. Okay, so we are going to add some of these guys. Now on my sample I did them sort of more front and prominent, but I want to kind of intersperse these a little bit with the sprigs on my gold die cut. So I'm going to add a glue dot to the back of this. Come on, stick. There we go. And then we're going to tuck one of these guys in here. We'll stick it down and then we'll arrange it. Okay, just kind of have it peeking through. And then let's add another one sort of in this corner here. Peeking out from behind the holly leaves. Okay, these glue dots are not my friend. Those of you that were at my virtual retreat on Saturday, listen to me complain about these all day. They were just kind of a pain in the neck. They were not cooperating all day. We're going to add another one down in the opposite corner. I don't know, I just got a bad batch of glue dots. They're too big and they are too sticky. They don't want to come off the roll when I use them. It's rather frustrating. So let's add one. Where'd my glue dot go? There it is. So add one guy here, and we're going to add one more over here. Where'd he go? Oh, he's stuck to a glue dot. Let's put one sort of here. So again, we'll press that into place. We're going to stick that guy down and then arrange it. Now this paper, as I said, is super delicate. You've got to kind of be gentle and take your time with it. Okay, but it is a really lovely texture. And a different weight to sort of add some interest to your projects. Okay, so that is going to get popped up on the front of our card. So we'll add a couple of dimensionals and a couple of minis, just so our sprigs stay put. I'll just add a couple. I won't do quite as many as I did on the last card because nobody wants to sit and watch me peel dimensional backings off. So we'll get rid of these guys. And we'll get rid of these guys. And then we're going to pop this on. Now, when I put this on, I kind of want, my bow is going to go sort of in this bottom corner, either the right or left. It's up to you. So I kind of want my ribbon to go so that it kind of runs behind where my bow is going to sit. Okay, so there is my focal image. We are going to tie a bow. As soon as I figure out what I did with the ribbon, there it is. Yes, you all are experts at flower arranging, Louise, or you should be. We did lots of it on the weekend. So I'm going to tie my bow, making my two little bunny ears and pulling them tight. Okay, this ribbon just, oh, it ties so beautifully. It makes a nice tight bow. It's so soft and sheer and just so pretty. All right, so let's trim off our ends there. And we're going to add a glue dot to the knot of our bow. So, oh, there's one right at the end. Can we grab that one? We'll see. These glue dots have a mind of their own. Come on. All right. This time I'm going to pop this because I don't want to cover up my little sprig. I'm actually going to put my ribbon on the, or my bow on the other side this time. Change it up a bit. Okay. And then this is the pièce de résistance here. These gorgeous garden gems are also part of the new suite that goes live next week. They are stunning. Okay. So we have, they're called garden gems. We have these sort of, I don't even know what shape. It's almost like an oval shape. In soft succulent, and then we have two sizes of rhinestones in cherry cobbler, but they're sort of iridescent with a hint of evening evergreen. They are gorgeous. So we are going to add some little holly berries to our sprigs here because, you know, why not? They're so pretty. I had to showcase them. Now this particular one actually has a little sprig here, so we can actually add the rhinestones right to the die cut. And then let's do one more. Where will we do our last one? Maybe we'll do it, oh, I don't know. Let's do it over here. I don't want to draw the eye too far away from my bow, so let's switch it up a little, and we'll add a little group of 3 over here. Okay, so you can see I've got 3 spots with rhinestones and 3 in each. So 3's rule here. So there is my finished card. Isn't that pretty? Now, again, on my sample, I stamped some more sprigs using the same colors. So we've got Soft Succulent, Evening Evergreen, and then I did some little berries in the Cherry Cobbler. Stamped the Sentiment in Evening Evergreen. And isn't that a beautiful Christmas card? So, so elegant. That paper is just, it's a must-have. Now, I have to mention that the DSP, the gems, and the cotton paper are only available while supplies last. Okay, these coordinating stamps and dies, which I will showcase next week, they're actually available right through and will be in the new mini catalog that starts in January. Okay, but the DSP, cotton paper, and gems, you're going to want to order early. Okay, because you don't want to miss out on them. They're so gorgeous. All right, everybody, let me pull back all three of our cards. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. They're all landscape today. I don't normally do that, but what can I say? I just love this bundle so much. I just can't stop playing with it. So check it out. Don't overlook it. It's in my like top 3 must-haves from the mini catalog. All right. Okay. Oh, before I go, I wanted to show you a fall version of this. So I made this as well to show that this is not just for Christmas. Okay. So what I did is I die cut my large die cut here in white, and then I used my Stampin' Blends to color it. And by using fall colors, I just got a gorgeous fall arrangement. Isn't that pretty? So it's hard to believe that it's the same die cut, right? So pretty. All right, there you go. That's it. I'm out. I've done too much talking today, so I'm going to take a vow of silence for the rest of the night. And I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.